was, I think that's probably what initiated some of those calls before. But, I mean, regardless of all of that, what we have here is a fence issue. Now, if there's other fences that are built this far onto the road allowance, we certainly want to know those addresses.
Well, they already know. I already told them. I drove them around there, and they've done nothing about it.
But you have to give me the addresses, and
I did.
I
I emailed it straight. I emailed in all the complaints. I emailed all the addresses. I gave all the
Okay, so would you do me a favor? In the area that, adjacent to yours, in that particular area, so within a sort of a 3-block area, I will give you my card, if you could send me those addresses, and we'll follow up on those ones.
But you've already, like you said, I've had a year to do this. You've had time to do that, and you haven't done it yet. That's what I don't understand.
Okay. All right,
I'm just thinking, like, if you're saying the same thing to us, that we've had time to do this for so long, and you haven't taken anything about it.
Did you email those directly to Linda, or you just emailed them to 311?
I emailed them to 311, and they assigned them to Linda Anderson. They've been assigned to Linda Anderson, and she called me afterwards and said, I'm not going to send anybody to those addresses, because it doesn't affect you.
That's not true.
That's the phone call that I got.
True.
And she said, please stop calling and complaining to all these fences, because we're not going to send anybody. And then your even bylaw officer that called me from the address, one of the addresses, he's like, I'm here, what's the problem with the fence? I said, it's just, that's there, it's been there for a while. Your boss told me to complain about all the fences in the city, so I'm doing it. He said, well, this is silly. I said, you're telling me. He said, well, I'm gonna go talk to Linda again. So that was, and I have that guy's name. I've got every person's name that I've called after that. Every time I've called, I've got a spreadsheet of every single call, and.
Mr. Hayter, so, costs involved that you feel are as a result of us giving you misinformation, then you have the ability to make a claim for those costs.
Were named, there's only been one name on.
Doesn't matter who's complaining. This land belongs to the city. We're now the complainant.
Yeah.
We're now the complainant, and we're going to deal with this. So
Yeah.
my question to you is, how long will it take you to make the fence compliant? Or if what I hear you saying is you're not intending to do that. So if that's clearly your message to us, that you're not intending to make it compliant, that's fine. We'll govern ourselves accordingly and take whatever steps we need to take. Because we assumed you'd made the fence right until we got another call to say you hadn't.
Exactly, but if you ask your bylaw officer, he says no.
That's fine.
He
Mr.
says,
Hayter,
no, 1 second.
are
Your
you
staff, if your staff is coming to homeowners, residents, and making up false claims or false declarations, how are we supposed to abide by that? And you're telling me, I'll listen to you, and then one guy is saying, I showed up because it just showed up on my desk. Nobody complained. And I asked him 7 times, witnessed, you were there? And we said, did somebody complain? No, nobody complained. And this is what I'm saying, like, the bylaws, they're gonna come to our door and say, listen, move your unplated car from the driveway. And they give me, I got a notation right here, violation notice, unplated vehicle from your driveway.
This fence, are you intending to move it or not?
If bylaw is gonna stick to their word and they give me something in writing saying
Are
that.
you moving the fence or not, Mr. Hayter? That's all I need to know. And if you are moving the fence, I'd like a date. If you're not, that's fine, then we'll govern ourselves accordingly. That's all that's.
Are you gonna move all the other
question
fences
today.
then, if I complain?
Mr. Hayter, are you intending to
It's contingent
move
on your
the
answer.
fence?
It's contingent on your answer. My response is contingent on your responses.
But today, we're receiving complaints. If we hadn't received any complaints, I don't think there'd be any action taken, but we are receiving complaints. And when the public complains, because someone has encroached on city property, they're just following, I mean, they might be sounding harsh to you, but they're just following what they have to follow.
It's not sounding harsh. The guy had to make 4 complaints just to get the one, he made 4 complaints about
Yeah.
just the fence to get it, to go to that.
And for what Linda is saying, for your impression, I was there when we had that discussion. We had the discussion about the cars.
Yeah.
You know, we were able to get around that part and everything. But that one there, it's not that the city said it was okay. They just figured that it had been moved back. Not until they got another complaint and they noticed, oh, it has been moved back. Now we still have to act on that complaint that we.
Being honest, and it's happened more than once, so at the same token, like, we're not here because of, I don't want to move the fence. I would love to move the fence if I was dealing with honest people that were giving me honest answers and honest measurements. But if I'm doing all this stuff on people that are giving us a runaround, and we're the ones that have to run around, and then you say, you know what, well, you just have to comply. We're not going to bend for you even left or right.
Do you want to know?
You got to be a straight arrow.
Do you want to know the story of why the officer came out with that? Somebody in your neighborhood sent me an email directly asking why your fences hadn't been moved. Quite honestly, so much time had gone by, I'm like, what is this issue? I couldn't even remember. So I dug out my stuff and then I remembered our meeting. Mr. Hayter, you met with then the counselor. And I walked away from that meeting with the impression that you were intending to move the fence. So I was surprised when I got the email. So I went to Jean Sorel, actually I went to the supervisors, I said, when there's an officer available, can you please send them out to deal with this situation? So did something go into 311 and then into the officers to-do bin? No. I'm the one that directed as a result of an email that I got directly from somebody reporting to me that the fence had not been moved and that the city tree had
So-
been chopped down.
so he knew that-
Those are the two things.
But he knew that. He knew that from the, he avoided, like,
I'm
he,
just saying,
No,
I'm
he
giving
might
you
not
the
have known that, he
process.
would have been dealing under
no, because when I called again,
the officer's
when
direction.
we called again after that, and the officer told me, yeah, somebody complained. I called a couple of people. Everybody knew that somebody complained again. It wasn't a secret. He was making it seem, even like he said, I said, what about the measurements you gave me last time? He said, I didn't give you any measurements last time. And I pulled up the ticket and the measurements are written right on it. And he said, I didn't give you measurements.
Mr. Hayter, I
Yeah.
think what they need to know is if you're gonna move your fence or not. You're bringing up valid points, but they're not related to this.
I know it's been a couple of months, but can you tell me what's going on with my fence?
Yeah.
He said, let me check on the computer. He says, well, I got nothing
The
here.
the reason why I got lost track of it is because I was told to clear it to them that they would come and investigate. Linda was here and
Yeah.
Scott was here.
Yeah.
This ended up on my desk last week.